What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Selectors. Today we are doing our championship score predictions. We've made it to week 3 of the championship. As always guys, for these types of videos, make sure you comment your predictions in the comments down below so you guys can have a chance to enter the Lex Selectors Football Prediction League, which is really competitive at this moment of time. And before I go through my championship predictions, on the left hand side of the screen are my Premier League predictions. So I have decided, it was quite a tough decision, but I'm not going to continue making Premier League weekly predictions. The content there just doesn't spark nearly as much attention as you championship lovers do. So I'm going to continue doing my championship score predictions, but my Premier League predictions will be on the side, and you guys can also predict those for fun as well. If you guys like what you see, please smash that like button. It really helps to grow this channel. Please hit that subscribe button if you've not done so. It also really helps to grow this channel, so we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. It is truly appreciative and it's free to do, and it really does help support the channel. And please also share the channel as well if you can as well. That means more people will come across my material. But without any further ado, let's start predicting this weekend's games. We're going to start off with tomorrow's game, Leeds versus West Brom. What a crucial game this could be, especially for Leeds United, who have definitely not started the season well as they really would have wanted to. And it's chaos at Leeds at the moment, losing so many players considering the starting 11 that started the season against Cardiff. That squad's been completely ripped apart within its quality, with 13 players going and getting moves elsewhere, and some, even staging strike action to leave the club. It's really toxic and really chaotic at Leeds at this moment of time. West Brom look to have been a bit inconsistent with their results, but I actually think their performances on the whole have generally been quite good, considering the negativity surrounding the ownership at West Brom at this moment of time. Carlos Corran could be motivated that he is managing against his former assistant managed club. He would have worked with Leeds before with Marcelo Bielsa there, so there's a tiny little bit of familiarity with Corran, knowing what it means to play against Leeds United. As a prediction there, with Leeds seemingly in disarray, you think that you can potentially bag 3 points to the away team West Brom, and despite that, I just don't think Leeds, you can never underestimate them. They will always fight to the end. They were put in a very difficult situation against Cardiff, going 2-0 down at Ellen Road, and then they equalised within minutes to make it 2-2. They just have that in their DNA and in their locker. So as a prediction here, whilst I think West Brom could score first, I think Leeds could definitely hit back. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't really think either team are going to win in this game particularly, but I think it'll be a draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Plymouth versus Southampton. So a little bit of a familiarity within the regions of both of these clubs, being two southern clubs going to go against each other, and two clubs that have started quite well with a win and a draw within their first 2 games of the season. I think Plymouth especially have been the biggest surprise out of these two teams for how well they started on the season. A brilliant home performance against Huddersfield to put 3 goals past them. And I thought they got a decent point against Watford as well, showing that not only can they attack teams with their brilliant transitions of play and hitting teams on the break, but they can also absorb attacks and can also be devastating on the counter-attack. And that's exactly what they did against Watford, and they well earned their point in that game. Southampton, definitely attacking wise, look fantastic within this league. That part of it I'm really excited about. Their defence still leaves a lot for me to be desired. I don't think it's going to be a team we're going to see a load of clean sheets. There's already 5 goals conceded from Southampton in their opening 2 matches. With this game, I do think it's going to be a very interesting encounter. Plymouth at home, I think, will be very strong this year. Southampton, however, I think with the quality they exude within their attacking players, even though their squad is chopping and changing with new players seemingly leaving Southampton to join another club within this transfer window, they seem a lot more settled than what Leeds are, for instance, when they have departures. And I do think Southampton still have enough to get past this Plymouth, but only just. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Southampton now. I do think Plymouth have got a chance, but I think Southampton might just prove to be too much for them. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Blackburn versus Hull. Now, I'm struggling to predict this one because I'm very mixed about how these teams are going to approach their game going up against each other. Blackburn have picked up a win and a draw in their opening 2 games, so have started quite well within the season. A brilliant win against West Brom, where they didn't really even need to hold much of the ball, but they were very, very clinical and actually defended well when West Brom improved in the second half. And with their draw against Rotherham, they've shown that, even if they draw blank within the first half, an event can happen and they can really strike back. And it was a real test of their character, actually, to go from 2-0 down to equalise to 2-2. So good, encouraging signs for Blackburn there. Hull City, I actually thought they did look quite good against Norwich. I know that they definitely didn't create as much as Norwich, by no means, but they defended well and they actually held out for that lead against Norwich for quite a long part of that game. And I think they will be a frustrating team to play up against. But also we saw their home form, how confident they are, scoring 4 goals past this Sheffield Wednesday side, and Ozan Tufan having a brilliant performance in midfield. I think if he plays again here, he'll be a really important part of this Hull City squad. Predictions here, however, are really, really tight. A draw wouldn't surprise me, but I have a strange feeling that this is going to be another typical Blackburn performance where they're so clinical, and Hull might even have more of a ball than Blackburn, but I think Blackburn might frustrate them enough for the fact that they'll give Hull too much to do, and ultimately I think Blackburn will actually win just based on how strong they are with their clinical ability. Sammy Smollett is looking really good at the moment and had a real test of character, missing a penalty and then actually being able to really pull Blackburn out of the depths. I think he'll be really important again here. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Blackburn. I think Blackburn could pull this out the bag, but only narrowly though, and that's only my prediction. Let me know of your prediction, of course, on this game in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Bristol City versus Birmingham. So both sides have started within the season within the top half of the table, and both teams have picked up a win and a draw in their opening 2 games as well. So both these teams are still yet to taste defeat in this season, and I do think both of these teams have actually shown a decent bit of character. I mean, Bristol City especially, considering Alex Scott leaving very, not so long when they did have to play their last game, and they really managed to outclass Millwall with their ability just to create something out of nothing. And what a goal it was as well by James to make it 1-0 to Bristol City. I do struggle to see Bristol City score many goals. I still think their goal scoring could be a bit of a problem this year. And the same could really go for Birmingham, to be honest. They do look very, very good. Birmingham, I dare say, from most of the play. Defensively, they look really solid. Their midfield looks solid. Attacking-wise, I would like their forward line just to be a little bit more clinical. So I think going into this game, I think we'll have 2 good-looking teams, but I think both attacks will still be struggling to find an adjustment and life into the championship. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think both these teams will find one opening, but I don't think one team will find enough openings to give themselves enough of a lead against the other one. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game today is Leicester versus Cardiff. So Leicester cannot really complain with their start of the season so far. They're one of only 2 teams to win their opening 2 championship games in the moment. A clean sheet they also picked up in their last game against Huddersfield Town. Didn't play particularly well, but some brilliant quality from Mavididi to actually get the goal for Leicester to carry them 3 points within that game. And it shows the abundance of options that Leicester have in their disposal. Even if they do carry quite a hefty list of injuries, I think they will be able to still have a squad that could beat almost any team within the championship. And I think give this Leicester team this time and Maresca starting to implement his ideas more effectively, this Leicester team could really steamroll this league. I really, really think they can. Cardiff really disappointed me in their last game, actually. They looked pretty alright against Leeds, especially their first half performance where they were really, really clinical, actually scarily clinical. But from that second half in the Leeds game onwards, I don't know what Cardiff were doing. So they conceded 2 goals, and then they also lost against QPR, a team not really full of confidence as well. I'll be talking about, QPR's brilliant mentality to bounce back. But regardless, Cardiff really allowed QPR to play as well as they did, which is the disappointing part. As a prediction here, I think Leicester's overboard of quality and depth, I think will outclass Cardiff, in my honest opinion. May sound a bit unfair, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory. That one I'm a little bit more certain, dare I say, of my predictions. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Middlesbrough versus Huddersfield. It's the two bottom teams in the Championship playing against each other, and the two lowest scorers in the Championship as well. So 0-0 draw written all over it. I'm actually not going to predict a 0-0 draw, and I will explain my reasonings here. So Middlesbrough at this moment of time are the only team in the Championship to have not scored a goal so far. And they've looked like they've gone into some promising areas, but that final ball of theirs is just not good enough, and they do look very sloppy actually. They do look a little bit slow in terms of trying to react to their opponents, and Coventry really did show a gulf of their quality, and we saw within only a matter of months ago that it was splitting hairs of quality between Coventry and Middlesbrough. So the fact that Coventry gone that far ahead, and considering the players they lost, it does beg the question for why are Middlesbrough not really producing at that similar level. And the reason is, I just think a lot of the players that took them up a level are now no longer there at Middlesbrough. They were loan players, and I do think whilst they made many transfers, they are unproven players for me. They could come good later on within the season, but as of now, I am very uncertain of them. With Huddersfield, they did manage to get at least one goal, which was from the opening game of the season. I do think against Leicester they were a little bit unlucky. I actually think they competed quite well with Leicester actually, and were unfortunate not to get at least a draw out of it. This game could be a very typical example of a Neil Warnock shithouse, and actually when Neil Warnock was Huddersfield manager, within one of his first games, he beat Middlesbrough at the John Smith Stadium 4-2. I remember the score quite vividly. And something's telling me that Middlesbrough are going to be a bit in disarray. I think they're really going to struggle, Middlesbrough, with their confidence at the start of the season. And I actually sense Huddersfield more likely picking up 3 points here and getting their season off the mark. So as a prediction, I do think you have to predict a shock here and there, and this is going to be mine. I'm going to go for a 1-0 away victory to Huddersfield Town. Probably unpopular for most predictors here, but I'm going to try and stand out. I'm going to try and take a couple more risks this year. And if it means I get less points from the prediction league, then so be it. I'm having a lot of fun with these predictions. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. So now we make it to the second half of games. So QPR versus Ipswich is the next game to predict. Ipswich looked really, really good. I saw them play against Stoke, and it shocked me really. Their improvement on actually pressing their opponents is unbelievable. Their fitness has gone up a level from when I've seen them last year as well. And they look more clinical, which I'm really glad to say as well. And they really dominated Stoke, I dare say, for 70 minutes. There was only a 20-minute period from the 30th to the 50th minute where I felt Stoke looked pretty on top of things. But other than that, you know, it was all Ipswich, and this is the newly promoted side. So that tells you that Ipswich will be a very tough team this year for many teams. And they're the second team with Leicester to win both of their opening games. So they're clearly starting well, accumulating those points early on. QPR obviously had a bit of an embarrassment, losing by 4-0 against Watford in the first half. But they really actually showed a test of character and actually got a win, an away win against Cardiff City. I think Sinclair Armstrong especially having a standout performance in that game. So QPR could be a bit rejuvenated, a little bit more confidence within this game. But if there's one team they don't want to play against, it's Ipswich. But if QPR approach this game as a team that will absorb everything from Ipswich, they may have a chance. I've not really seen a team yet in the Championship play a team where they're just parking the bus. And while Stoke did struggle, Stoke struggled because they did try and go toe-to-toe with Ipswich, but just ultimately wasn't strong enough within their midfield and back line. I have a feeling QPR could actually put 11 men behind the ball, which I've seen Ainsworth do before. And that might make things difficult for Ipswich. It might make it frustrating for them. And as a prediction, I think it's going to be a 1-0 away win to Ipswich. I think it's going to be a very tense game. But I think a set piece, which was how they broke the deadlock against Stoke, I think that is how they can potentially break the deadlock again against QPR. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Ipswich First time I predicted Ipswich to win as well. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Sheffield Wednesday versus Preston North End. Sheffield Wednesday are one of very few teams to have lost both of their opening games of the season, and very disappointing in the way that they've lost their games as well, especially conceding 4 goals against Hull City. That is very, very disappointing. They've conceded 6 goals, which is the most goals conceded in the league so far. I think defence is going to be a real problem for Sheffield Wednesday here. Preston has started well, a win and a draw, and I'm really impressed actually with their new signings. Will Keane leading the line, I think he's doing really well. I think he scored in both of Preston's games so far, and Mears Freucher-Jason I actually think looks very promising as well. He is one I'm actually really intrigued to see how he develops within this season. He's been one of the standout newer transfers that has transformed his squad so far. And honestly, Preston could go into this game maybe feeling a bit too overconfident. You saw how Sheffield Wednesday actually made Hillsborough a tough place for Southampton for most of that game, especially with how they performed in the second half. And they will have that threat for that Preston team. But Preston defensively, I think, have looked a bit stronger, which surprised me in a way because I didn't really anticipate too much change within their back line. But they definitely look a little bit fresh. They look more alert, more lively. And I think Preston may offer just that tiny bit more, in my opinion. So as a prediction, I'm going 2-1 Preston. But I think it's going to be a very, very close one based on Sheffield Wednesday being at home. Because I think they will actually be tough for many teams at home. And it's going to be very, very tense, I think. Potentially could be a draw. I can easily see that. But I'm going to go for a Preston win. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Stoke versus Watford. So Stoke and Watford failed to pick up a win in their last game when they won their first game. So Stoke obviously lost out to Ipswich. Did have 2 big chances, I say, to score at least 1 goal. I think that's a bit of a unfair comparison though. I do think at home when they completely blew Rotherham away may be a fair representation of what we get against Watford. Now Watford have actually not played away from home in the Championship so far this season. So this is going to be an interesting challenge in that part there. And are they going to play any better or any worse home or away from home? We will have to see. I mean, they were away from home against Stevenage, weren't they? And they lost out on the penalty shootout. So maybe they could have a poor away form, but I'm not really going to be confidently making that prediction as of yet. We need to see how they set up against the Stoke City side, which I think they'll look much more lively, much more up for this with them being at home. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I can't really separate the two teams. I think they're going to be very, very good for each other. But I think both of them will each offer enough qualities to cancel each other out. So I'll go for 1-1. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Sunderland versus Rotherham. So both teams could really do for a win right now. Both are looking for their first win of the season. Rotherham, however, did pick up their first point in their second game of the season against Blackburn, but it really should have been all 3 points if it wasn't for the controversial red card on Fred Onyedinma. So I won't debate, my thoughts on it because I feel like everyone kind of has a good idea how their feelings are felt about that red card decision. Let me know actually what you think of the new refereeing rules, by the way, in the comments down below. It'd be something I'd be interested to hear more fans' opinions on, especially that most of you go to EFL games. So with this game, I think Sunderland, whilst they play very, very nice football, they have struggled with goals. Now, it could just take one game for everything to click. And I think Rotherham are going to go into this game weaker without Onyedinma. He will pick up a 1-game suspension of that controversial 2 yellow cards that formed the red card there. So I think Rotherham will come short with quality. Sunderland, I think, will be determined more than ever to get something here. And as a prediction, however, I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Sunderland. I think things will click for them here. And I think this will really kickstart their season in the way that they expected. So I'm going to go 3-1 to Sunderland. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Swansea and Coventry. I'm really excited for this one because Swansea so far, whilst they've not picked up many points. They've only picked up 1 point so far this season. They have not had trouble finding the ball in the back of the net. So I do think whilst Swansea really need to improve defensively, which will really frustrate Michael Duff, knowing how, critical he made this Barnsley team to defend really, really well. I think what we're clearly seeing is the Swansea team just kind of in that transitional phase from the high attacking intensity football with Martin to then slowly go into the intensity pressing but high defence minded side that we tend to see with Michael Duff. With Coventry, I think they started well. I felt with their defeat against Leicester, I actually think they actually performed pretty admirably for most of that game. They really actually could have scored more chances with the amount of chances that they managed to create. But it seemed everything went together within that 3-0 beating of Middlesbrough. And it was a beating. They really took their chances and they really took the game away from Middlesbrough. I think Haji Wright is someone you've got to really keep your eyes on. He could be a very special talent throughout this season. So I'm seeing two teams who could score plenty of goals. So therefore, in my prediction, I'm going to go for high scoring 3-2 away victory to Coventry. It really could be 2-2. So I've not predicted a 2-2 draw. I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory to Coventry. I think it's going to be a pretty wild game. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Final game to predict is Norwich versus Millwall. This game's been played later because of the Carabao Cup game that was played between Norwich and QPR, which ultimately Norwich won in the end with a 99th minute goal. Felt that a bit unfair for QPR for them not to have a later day within the week to play their game, but Norwich do. But Millwall could look at this as an opportunity to just kind of take that extra day to freshen things, because I don't think Millwall have particularly, given me a lot to ring true about their season so far. They got that great win against Middlesbrough, sure, and I do think at times they looked threatening, but they really were below par at home against Bristol City. So looking a bit inconsistent so far this season. Norwich scoring plenty of goals. Josh Sargent managed to get off the mark this season, scoring his first goal this season. Gabriel Sara has had a terrific start, being a big contributor with goal contributions in both of Norwich's games so far. I think he will be one of the most important players for Norwich and one of the better players within the entire championship, in my honest opinion. As a prediction here, I see Norwich having all of the ball and Millwall just being what Millwall are, just defending really, really well and frustrating the hell out of Norwich. And I think it just takes one moment and one opportunity. And I do think Norwich might squeak a win here. Not going to be convincing, but I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Norwich. They just seem to have that little bit more tenacity, Norwich, that they will be determined to get a positive outcome. And that was shown, throughout their crazy 4-4 draw against Southampton, where they actually did take the lead, a little bit longer than what Southampton did. So I do think we'll get that same fight. It's just a very different game for Norwich. So I'm going to go for 1-0 win to the Canaries. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So once again, that is my predictions done. You can also predict the Championship games in the comments down below if you want to be involved in the Prediction League. The Premier League games are also there to predict as well. They won't go in the Prediction League, but it's for a bit of fun. So guys, that is it for today. If you guys enjoyed, please smash the like button. It really does help the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. All of that is free to do, and it really, really helps the growth of the channel. Please also share the channel too. It really, really does help. I would have loved to do a Premier League predictions video, but I had to do one or the other. Championship was much better in terms of what it offers for my channel, and I just have to find enough balance, to get work done on me as well, because I'm working full time again now. So just got to make that balance. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.